All right, let's jump right in. We're going to explore a really personal journey that's been turned into a kind of guide for anyone who's ever felt lost, or alone, or, just plain scared. We're talking about how to navigate that turmoil inside, and it all kicks off with this really powerful memory from childhood.
So this was the author's very first mantra. As a little kid dealing with some pretty intense panic and anxiety, always feeling like she didn't quite fit in, this was the phrase she would repeat over and over to calm herself down. It was like this intuitive tool for wellness before she even had a name for it.
And this question, man, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? That childhood feeling of being on the outside looking in, that sense of not belonging anywhere, it's something so many of us can relate to. It's a deeply human experience.
So our first stop on this journey is really understanding this feeling. Where does this sense of being adrift actually come from? Let's unpack it.
This kind of silent struggle is incredibly common. Feeling like an outsider, well, it often forces us to ask some really big questions about who we are and what we're here for. It's often the starting line for a much bigger search for meaning.
And that search for an origin, for where we come from, it usually leads us down two main paths. One is philosophical, kind of digging into the nature of our souls, and the other is historical, looking at the roots of our collective story.
People have been wrestling with these questions for centuries. Are we born as a blank slate, what the philosopher John Locke called tabula rasa, and just shaped by life? Or do we come into the world with this innate goodness, as thinkers like Rousseau believed, that maybe society messes up later? This debate has been going on forever, and it just shows how deep these questions about who we are really run.
But the search isn't just a philosophical one. For so many people, especially Black Americans, that feeling of being lost right now is deeply, deeply tied to a fractured past, a history that was violently cut short.
Just look at this timeline for a second. The transatlantic slave trade was one of the largest forced migrations in human history. It started way back in the 16th century, hit its peak in the 18th, and just kept going for centuries, ripping people away from their homes, their culture, their entire history. Let's just pause on this number. 341 years. Think about that. That's the enormous span of the transatlantic slave trade. The sheer length of that trauma creates an echo that absolutely continues to ripple through generations. Okay, so with that heavy context of feeling lost, both on a personal level and a historical one, we're going to introduce a new way to look at these intense emotions. Let's try to reframe this inner chaos as a spiritual vortex. First, let's just think about the physical idea. When you hear the word vortex, what do you picture? Probably a tornado, right? Or a whirlpool, this powerful, chaotic force that sucks everything in, something you definitely want to avoid. Now let's flip that idea on its head. In a spiritual sense, a vortex is also a center of powerful, swirling energy. But instead of being destructive, it's seen as a sacred place, a power spot where the Earth's energy is amplified, making it the perfect place for healing, meditation, and real transformation.
And this, right here, is the crucial point. When we feel that inner turmoil, that chaotic, swirling feeling of being totally lost, the goal isn't to run away from it. The goal is to turn toward it and learn how to navigate that energy for our own growth.
So, how do we actually do that? This next part is all about the practical stuff, a toolkit for working with that powerful energy inside you. Think of these steps as your map. First, you set an intention. What are you looking for? Then, just be present and open to what happens. And this is a big one, don't fight the feelings that come up. Let them flow. And finally, you integrate what you've learned, maybe through meditation or writing it all down. To make this a little more real, let's look at the famous vortexes out in Sedona, Arizona. Each spot there is said to have its own unique energy. For instance, Airport Mesa has this active, masculine energy that's great for building confidence. But then you have Cathedral Rock with its receptive, feminine energy, which is perfect for introspection and healing. It just shows how you can work with different kinds of energy for different goals. So what might you actually feel when you tap into this energy? Well, it could be something physical, like a tingling on your skin. Or maybe it's emotional, a sudden wave of peace, or even an unexpected cry you didn't know you needed. Your mind might get quiet, making space for new ideas to pop in. So after learning to navigate all this powerful inner energy, what's the end game? What are we aiming for? It's all about finding your center. This entire process is a journey from feeling fragmented to feeling integrated. It's about taking all those chaotic feelings that used to pull you apart and using them to become centered, balanced, and, well, whole. And this brings us to a really beautiful and powerful symbol for this state of wholeness. The Merkaba. It's this shape from sacred geometry. It's made of two pyramids locked together, spinning in opposite directions. It's thought of as a divine vehicle of light for our spirit and body.
Let's break down the name, because it's pretty cool. Mer means light, Ka means spirit, and Ba means body. So altogether, the Merkaba represents the perfect union of all these parts. It symbolizes the balance of opposites, like masculine and feminine, heaven and earth, and creates this protective, activated energy field around you.
And ultimately, the result of all this inner work isn't just about fixing one little part of ourselves. It's about cultivating overall well-being by bringing our mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical selves into one harmonious whole.
So, to bring it all home, that journey that starts with feeling lost and scared doesn't have to end there. By changing how we see that turmoil, seeing it as a vortex we can navigate, we turn it into a source of our own power and, finally, our own inner peace.
And that leaves us with a final question for you to think about. What powerful, swirling energy is happening in your life right now? Whether it's a big challenge, a major change, or a deep feeling. What if it's inviting you not to run, but to learn how to navigate it?